So aging is not easy, and sickness obviously is painful and also terrifying. Death obviously is highly disconcerting. I like being Peter Bolland. I'm pretty much enjoying it. I don't want to give it up, and I will not go calmly into that good night. So yeah, that's all part of that. I like existing, and I want to cling to it. So all of this is driving dukkha. And of course, that second bullet point, transience, traps us in a world of continual loss. Everywhere we look, we are caught by this haunting fact that we're going to lose it all. It makes falling in love pretty risky, because everything you love is going to leave you. It makes getting a dog hard, because you know there's that day on the end. And the last time I put my dog down, the last dog I had was the best dog I ever had. I say that about a lot of them, but this is really true. His name was Boone. He was a Brittany Spaniel, and we got him when he was 2 from a breeder that was shutting down his puppy mill, and he was the sire, and we kind of rescued him from that situation. And he'd never been inside. He was 2. He'd never been inside of a house. He lived in a chain link run out in a ranch in Lakeside, and had to teach him a lot of things about how to be a dog. And he took to it quick because he was so smart, and he was the gentlest dog we ever had. He loved our cats. He was super, super nice, and just a little Buddha, you know. And his kidneys started to fail when he was 13 years old, and we finally got to that point where he's falling down all the time. He stopped eating. The organs are shutting down, and you get to that day, all the animal people in the room know, you get to that day, you don't know exactly, am I doing it too soon, or am I waiting too long out of not wanting to say goodbye? And you know, I can pick him up and help him outside twice during the night to go to the bathroom, and I can clean up the messes, but when I see the light go out of his eye, and he's looking at me like, I hate my life, then I'm going to take him on that long last car ride and put him in the back seat and take him into the vet. And I always like to be there with my dogs when we euthanize them. I just think it's the deal that I made when I brought him home that day. It's like, you know what, we're going to do this thing from A to Z, and I'm going to be with you when you die. And to sit on the floor in the clinic office and to hold my dog in my arms, and he already had an IV in because they had been doing some other work on him, and the vet comes, and my wife's there, and the vet tech, and the 4 of us are sitting there, and the big pink syringe comes out, and the vet looks at you, and she says, now? And you say, now. And he could hardly breathe. He was sitting there with it, looking straight at the ceiling, just trying to get air. And it was just that moment when you give him the injection, and within, I'd say 4 seconds, he just slumped. And it just lets out a big gasp, that death rattle, and he's gone. And then the vet let us just sit in the room with him for a half hour and, say goodbye to him. And I'm taking you through all this for a very specific reason. And there's people crying in the room, I know, and I feel like crying too. But I would not change a thing about any of that. I love that dog, and he was in love with us, and that's what life's all about. If you're not willing to let love in, why bother being alive? And to know that when I look at my wife and we always laugh, you better die first because I don't want to be alone, or I better die first. I forget how we say it, but there's that sort of deal you make with each other. It's all sort of silly and in jest, but it's an actual thing. It's actually going to happen to us, that one of us is going to be alone for a little while or a long while, however all that goes, who knows? And yet you fall in love anyway and you say yes. And when you say yes to life, you say yes to this. And to wish for it not to be that way is childish. To say, I want love and I want joy, but I don't want any hurt. It's just sort of silly. That's just sort of a strange delusion to have. Instead instead to say it's beautiful because it doesn't last. It's profound because it isn't permanent. It is in the very fleeting quality of these forms that their majesty resides, that their power resides. And that's something that Buddhism, I think, really helps me kind of sink my roots down into and say, I think I can get through this now. I think I can get through the gut-wrenching, horrible afternoon of driving my dog to the vet. And we're puppy shopping right now, and I'm signing up for another ride on the merry-go-round. So that 14 years from now, I can kill him, too, to save him from an even more horrible terminal disease. We're not yet to that place in our society where we can do this for our human loved ones yet, but that's another place that we're hopefully evolving. I'm Dutch, so you know where I am on that.
You can in Oregon.
Yeah, I have to move to Oregon there toward the end. Exactly. We got the weed thing figured out.
They're talking about it here.
Although we're next, I'm sure, on all of that. I'm a little embarrassed that we've fallen behind Oregon, Washington, and Colorado. We usually lead in these crazy areas, so we're going to catch up. So aging is not